Hi everybody, and thanks for joining me today. So we're pretty much done those flower bushes now, and working into the pillar now. The top of the diagonal reached the edge of the pillar, and then further down the diagonal I'm sort of doing the base, almost like stair step part of the bottom of the pillar there. So yeah, we were making good progress. I'm really happy with that. Over 97%, so yeah, it is coming along nicely. Just gonna see where I want to start. If I want to go further down the diagonal or, yeah, stay up. Just means I'm gonna be breaking this color up a bit more. Because yeah, I have quite a lot of needles on threads here, so I really don't want to go further down the diagonal and end up with even more. So I'm gonna find a way to carry on working in the same spot. Pardon me. So yeah, that means instead of doing those two in a row, I'm breaking them up to keep from closing anything in. Yeah, I'm really glad I don't have to go anywhere today because we have freezing rain today. Yay! That's always fun. Yeah, did my weekly grocery shopping yesterday, so if I have to pick up kiddo from school, then I'll have to leave the house, but otherwise I won't. If my husband ends up doing it, then I won't have to. Yeah, he often does it, especially when the weather's lousy, and that way I don't have to drive in the snow. Plus, that's extra gas, right? And plus, out here, when it's this cold, you have to warm up the vehicle before you can drive it too. Otherwise, it's really hard on the engine. So when it gets cold enough, so yeah. They also get home sooner because my husband is less nervous than I am, so he's more assertive and he can get out of that parking lot sooner. And I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna wait for it to clear out a bit. Because yeah, the last time that I decided, no, I'm gonna try and get out as everyone else is getting out was when I got rear-ended, so forget it. Yeah. And like, it wasn't my fault, and our insurance company's really good, so I didn't have to pay a deductible even. But I mean, oh, it is such a nightmare. All the paperwork and getting your car fixed. Oh, what a hassle. And we're lucky, like our insurance company does direct billing. So my my treatment visits and my rental car and all that was all paid directly. I don't have to, you know, pay for it, save the receipts, and then claim it later. I mean, I know it all works out in the end, but that's definitely less hassle, right? I just get to say, nope, this is the claim number, and they bill directly to the insurance. Yeah, we've been pretty happy with them. And yeah, when the accident was not your fault at all, you'd end up, I haven't had to pay deductibles, so that was nice. Yeah, and I was fortunate my soft tissue injuries were fairly minor, and they resolved fairly quickly. I had, oh geez, I think it was 30 visits would be paid for. And I think I had to use 10 of them. And then, yeah, I was feeling like my old self again. So, yeah, thank goodness. Yeah, I always like wince when I see movies and stuff where people get into these really bad accidents and they're fine. And I'm just thinking, man, they would have definitely got whiplash from that. Or, you know, they get T-boned and the way they get pushed, like, you know, they would have ended up with some kind of at least soft tissue injury, with, if not perhaps a, you know, stress fracture to the spine or something. But yeah, movies, they're just fine, you know. It's either that or it's the opposite extreme, right? Somebody barely taps their bumper and the car, you know, explodes. It's like, no, that does not happen. Vehicles very rarely explode. Okay, where am I? All right, just making sure I am in the correct spot here. Yeah. This is sort of right on the edge, so it's borderline whether I add it now or do it in the next diagonal, but whatever. It's already attached at this point, so I will. Okay. Okay, so looks like I will have to sort of go further down the diagonal anyway for this section. That's okay. Oh. Oh, that got all messed up. Don't know how. I think probably one strand of the two went through the eye of the needle. Yeah. And then that's what happens. There we go. So yeah, because this is the base of the pillar, the colors are kind of almost sort of curving away from the direction of the diagonal here. So that means I end up with a lot more color changes to avoid closing stuff in. Yeah, so I have less than 6,000 stitches left, so woohoo. Yeah, it should not take me a month at this point because I find I do about 12 to 15, so it should take me a couple more weeks, which I'm very excited about. And then yeah, I had a request to make a video to show you how I kit up and prepare for a new project, so I will do that. And I will also have a video showing how I remove all this gridding, because as you can see, I've left it until the end. But, which is very simple, but just give a quick little video in case anybody prefers to see it rather than hear it explained in words. don't know if I'll get around to finishing mounting this, turning it into a wall hanging by the end of the year, but the stitching part I will be done. Okay, let's see if I have to reset this bunch or if I can get it free. That one came unthreaded. Sometimes that happens. Wow, that ended up really uneven. Okay. Yeah, I managed to zero out 3 colors yesterday. Yeah, as I was finishing the yellow flower at the top of this diagonal, there was a couple more orangey yellow flowers on the very far side of the pattern, but I guess they weren't using some of those yellows, so yeah, I got to put away 3 more of them today. That's always fun, counting those numbers down to 0. Yeah, I would say I'm definitely a quarter of the colors are finished now. Okay. See how long this piece is. Ah, yes, it is a short one. So, yeah, I was kind of looking around wondering whether I needed to end this off or park it somewhere, but yeah, it is too short to carry anywhere. Okay, again, I think that's not long. That's what I thought. Yeah, that's why I have two attached. One is super short. Will end soon. Yeah, I think I have 10 more full diagonals. And then, of course, the corner. That's a big triangle to fill in. So, yeah, sometimes I can do a whole diagonal in one day if it really depends on if it's got a lot of colors or not. And, of course, how much stitching time I get. So, because diagonal, at least in this section, is 500 stitches. Usually it was 600, but then this ended at the 500 stitch mark. So that's partly why this last pass is going so quickly. Because, yeah, it's got only 50 rows instead of 60. Ooh. Yeah, let's not do that. Yeah, I was thinking if it wasn't going to be too terribly cold, maybe I would do a walk outside. Because when it's only a few degrees below freezing, I still do that. But yeah, if it's freezing rain out there, I'm not doing that. I don't want to wipe out. Oh. The worst is when we get things thaw, and then they freeze, and then we get like a light dusting of snow on top, so you can't see the ice. And then, yeah, you step on it and wipe out. Oh, it was terrible one time when my kid was really little. We have this area that my husband tries to keep cleared because it's right where the corner of the roof is, and the water drips down off of there, and then it freezes, and so it's sheer ice. And then, like I said, either the snow's on it or like the wind blows the snowdrift onto it, and so you can't see it, but it is so slick. Okay, I'm gonna reset here. Take my needles off because we're getting tangled. Yeah. But anyway, so it's super slick, you can't see it. And then so one time I stepped on it. Kiddo was outside with me, he was like 2. And yeah, 2 or 3. And I stepped on it and I wiped out, and I completely winded myself the way I landed. So I couldn't breathe. And my poor kid is just freaking out, right? And I'm trying to draw breath to tell him, like, no, honey, it's fine. I'm okay. You know, don't worry. But I can't. I'm just kind of, you know, gasping as I'm trying to catch my breath. And oh gosh, that was not fun. Ooh. And I was fortunate I didn't hit my head or anything on the way down. So, wow, this usually does not tangle like this. I've only had this happen a couple of times in the whole project. Yeah, but then we'll have to pick it free. What I usually end up doing is taking individual strands and kind of just, yeah, very carefully easing it all apart. Oh, try not to drop needles in my lap, because that could cause me issues later. There we go. Yeah, didn't have to cut anything. Oh, there's another needle. Yeah, I like to keep extra magnets on hand so I can gather them up if they drop. Okay. Okay, that one can stay threaded. Yeah, there we go. Okay. We are mostly good. So this is a rare occurrence. This happens maybe once every 3 or 4 months that it gets that tangled, that I really have to sit there and untangle it. But yeah, most of the time things come out pretty good. There we go. Okay, so there we are. Yeah, poor kid always all freaking out. Mom's hurt. I'm just like totally winded. Yeah, I remember to stay away from that corner now because it's bad. Yeah, try to keep it sanded and cleared as much as possible. Yeah, you can't really use salt here when it's super cold, because it only works to temperatures at minus 25 or warmer, and we regularly get colder than that, so yeah. Pardon me. So yeah, they sand around here if they don't plow rather than salt. Can really only use salt in like the spring. I think my husband prefers it because the salt can be hard on your vehicle. Causes it to rust and stuff, so yeah. We just have different, now for us it's mechanically hard on the vehicle because when they don't plow and you end up with those big ruts pulling you around, and yes, so your car wears out faster. So I guess it's kind of a, you know, half dozen of one and 6 of the other, or whatever they call it. Okay, another one to end off. Yeah, I was saying about the other day about needing sunlight. One of my friends shared that in the Arctic right now, the sun has set for the final time until end of January. And I said, oh my God, I would die. She apparently loves the cold and dark, but yeah, I would, oh, that would kill me. I could not handle that. Ooh, pardon me. Ugh. The coldest, I can handle it. It's the dark. The dark that bothers me when there's no sunlight. Yeah, as you can see, this color is definitely going the opposite direction of the diagonal. Oop. There we go. Okay. Today's hurdle was one that really gets stuck in your head. Oh. I have a few of those daily games I like to play. There's one that's called Plot Words, and it gives you different keywords, and you have to try and guess what movie it is. Okay, I'm gonna see. I may either do something out of order here, or I might end up starting a new thread. No, I think I'm gonna do a couple stitches out of order here. Unless, actually, you know what? I won't, because I can see a place where I could park this after. So I will do a second thread. Oh, we gotta. There we go. It's end popping up. Looking strange. Yeah, so what I'll do is when I get to it, I'll do these ones and I'll park it down there. And then I'm going to do another thread up here. I find when it's going opposite direction of the diagonal, that tends to happen a bit more. I end up with more threads, but that's fine. I don't mind that. And occasionally I end up doing stuff out of order because it's just more work to avoid it, so. See, I adapt my stitching to the pattern and not the pattern to my stitching. I'll break my guidelines if that's what seems will work the best. Okay, we're just about reaching the edge of this diagonal anyway, so that's fine. There we go. was funny when it was still on the air. My husband and son like to watch the show Canada's Worst Driver, and it was interesting. They actually had a car set up to simulate what it felt like to hit ice. I can't remember how it worked, but yeah, so that people could practice it. So they had, you know, the co-pilot instructor there. They had a button that they could press to make it feel like ice, and then they would talk them through how to gain control of the car if you start skidding. Yeah, it was funny because there was one driver, she was convinced if you hit ice, you're done. Like, you're destined to wipe out. And I said, well, you know, what does she think happens in places where it snows a lot, like Ontario or something? Like, everybody just goes in the ditch? Like, you gotta drive, you know? Oh. And then it was funny because they put her in the car, and she tried it, and she was actually able to regain control when she followed the instructions, and she was just totally shocked that, oh, it is possible to gain control. Yeah, so my husband took our son out to a big parking lot so he could try feeling what skidding is like and then how to regain control. So, because that's one of those things, it's you can explain it all you want, but nothing can really take the place of actually developing the feel for it. So yeah, took him to a big empty parking lot so he won't hit anything, and then give it a try. Yeah, when we first moved here, I didn't drive the first few winters. I was too nervous to, but yeah, I got sick of not being able to go anywhere. Like, my husband had to take me grocery shopping, and yeah, finally got to the point where I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna learn, because yeah, and kiddo was a toddler then, and I wanted to go to the moms and tots group so I could get some socialization with some other adults, right? Like, I'm mostly an introvert, but I still needed some grown-up connections. Yeah, kids are older now, but we're still friends. Yeah, it's wild because some of those kids I remember all graduating and going off to college. It's like, no, wait. How did that happen? Oh. Yeah, my husband ran into an old coworker, you know, a couple years ago, and they got to chatting, and how's it going? And then he mentioned our son was starting high school the next year. You know, he's just like, no way. Because, yeah, he used to come to work with me sometimes. I would, and it was fun. Like, my boss would have him sweep out the warehouse area, and then he'd pay him with some donuts, which he loved. Yeah, it was really funny because they had, what did you do in the summer? And he said, as I went to work and opened the garage door, because, yeah, we had those great big bay doors, right, warehouse doors. And so he loved being the one who would run and push the button to let the guys in. So they always let him do it. And yeah, so that was his story about what he did that summer, was opening the garage door. Yeah, it was funny because you know, they asked him, and he said, oh, I had a boring summer. I had to go to work every day. I said, yeah, but you got to bring a portable DVD player and watch movies the whole time. Like, come on. Yeah, you swept out the warehouse, but you like doing that, so. I was just working part-time, so yeah. We'd go, he'd watch a movie or two, and well, I did my work, and then we'd go home and have the rest of the afternoon free. Yeah, it worked really well. It was a really nice, flexible job so that I could still take my kid to school, pick him up, still take days off to volunteer in his classroom sometimes. So yeah, it was really nice. Okay. So yeah, with this, again, with the colors going the opposite diagonal, I end up doing quite a lot of sort of back and forth up and down the diagonal to avoid closing stuff in. I remember the needle bug was doing something similar, and she was calling, somebody said she could call it escalator stitch as it was going up and down. So yeah. Yeah, she likes to change up her stitching method to whatever she feels like, which is cool. Yeah. Yeah, do what works for you. The end result will look the same. So yeah, I had someone asking, you don't always work up, downwards? It's like, nope, sometimes I work up. It's as long as it's along this edge and not closing stuff in, that's how I do it. Yeah, I say this is my ADHD method of stitching. It may look like chaos to everyone else, but to me it makes sense. Yeah, this ended up kind of being stitched more of a stair step because of the way the colors went. And now we're kind of smoothing it out again. We'll see how vertical I go when I get to the columns, because there's not as much of the vertical area. It's more coming to the base part of the column, so we'll see whether I end up going diagonal or more vertical. All right, so how long is this bit? Oh, let's not do that again. There we go. This is a fairly long one. Okay, so that one and that one. Yeah, and then I think I'm gonna park it to the ones that are further over to the left, and then it will park back up over to the right, so I won't have to add another thread when I get there. But that's in the next diagonal, so that's not a worry for today. All right, this is the one that I decided, yeah, I was gonna park down over. Yeah, when I start my next project too, I'll probably do another tutorial video showing me showing all of you how I start a brand new project with my method on the diagonal. Yeah, I was going through my other patterns, and from what I can see, most of them are not quite as confetti heavy as this one. Like I've said before, this is the most complex piece I have done so far. You know, I kind of thought full coverage is full coverage, but no, some pieces are way more detailed than others. And this isn't even like a max color pattern, which I have not done, and I don't think I will do. I've looked at the mock-ups on those, and yes, it is slightly more, you know, detailed in the shading, but for me, I don't find personally that's enough of a difference that I'm willing to do so much more confetti work, because that really slows things down, and I have so many patterns, and you know, there's never enough time to do them all. I think that was threaded and I just unthreaded it. Oh well. I think this needle might be done. The eye's kind of shredded into the into the thread. So yeah, I think I'll throw that one away. They do wear out eventually. Okay, so make sure I mark what I did so I don't forget. Tuck all those out of my way. Yeah, the bottom of the last few diagonals went really fast because it was like 3 or 4 colors, so yeah. In fact, I kind of did where I worked on the top parts of the diagonal in the mornings, and then in the afternoons when I was feeling a little more tired, I saved those parts for then, and then I could still stitch on this piece without having to pay too much attention. Okay, let's see how long this piece is. Okay, not very. So I think, yeah. So if this had been longer, I would have done these stitches in part to do these other ones, but it's not. And then this other one up here, I would have done these stitches and parked over to the right. But because this is short, I'm going to do these 3 stitches here and end off the thread, and the other thread up further will get carried down over this way as it's closer. So yeah, where I decide to park depends on a lot of factors. How close the stitches are, how long the attached thread is, whether I have more than one thread attached, yeah. It's just sort of something that I do instinctively by this point. It takes me more time to explain to you guys where I've decided to go and why than for me to actually decide what I'm gonna do with it. Okay, so those are done. Okay, and again, 2 threads of this color. Okay, and they're both quite long. Okay, so in this case, the top one is going to get carried over to the right, and this lower one is going to go down to the left. Okay, so okay, and then this top one, which is already threaded, do this stitch, and I'm going to carry it over to there. lots of leftover threads of this one, so yeah. I knew I won't have any trouble finding one that's the perfect length for just those three. Let's take a look. Yeah, there's nothing close by to park this, so it makes more sense to use a shorter piece. So generally I pin stitch sort of downwards, but as I'm approaching the edge here, I'm trying to keep those ends from going past the edge of the design so it doesn't show through. Okay. Oh, this is a short piece. I don't know if it'll be enough to do those ones I highlighted. We'll see. It won't be enough to park anywhere. I know that. Yeah, I'll have to use another little leftover piece for that one lone stitch there. Yeah. It's not long enough to reach down to that one lone stitch and also complete it. If the one lone stitch was closer, it might be, but it's not. Not close enough. Where did I put my scissors? Oh, there they are. They were hiding under my leg. Yeah, and basically keeping my scissors in my lap. Found actually putting them on the table meant I was doing wasted motion to reach over and grab them. Oops. Oh dear. Ah. Yeah. Just like I used to use a stylus with my tablet, but then I discovered that was an extra step to pick it up and put it down. So I started just using my finger. I didn't like leaving, you know, like fingerprints on it, but I figure, I can wipe the screen. I have a glasses cleaning cloth that I use for that, so, and I only do that, you know, every end of every day or something, so I kind of got used to it. Okay. Yeah, so will I hit 98% this week? Maybe. Yeah. Oops, my gosh. Yeah. Maybe not by next session, but I would say by the one after that, I'll definitely have reached 98%, so. Yeah, getting so close. Yeah, because 2% is about 4,500 stitches, so. And I'm at less than 6,000 now, so yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it's funny because some of my first projects was like, you know, maybe 5,000 stitches in total, and they took me like a year. I was so much slower then. They weren't full coverage pieces either, but yeah, one problem when there's lots of pin stitches in this area is there's lots of ends to come popping up from the back. Mm. Oops. Oh dear. My hands are really dry and rough today, and I keep snagging the thread. Ugh. I have to put some lotion on after I finish up this session. It's not within reach, so. Okay. Oh, is there? Oh, there is one parked there. My gosh, I forgot to mark that it was parked there. So I went and got a whole new thread. Oh yeah, that happens sometimes. Oh well. Stitch was kind of bulging up in a funny way, bothering me. Probably no one could see that but me, but yeah, it was annoying me. Yeah, so this area here is kind of fewer colors than it was up the diagonal, so it'll go a little faster. I'm going to put that thread away. We'll leave the needle on it since the next time I need a brand new length, it'll be all ready to go. Yeah, I saw some stitchers who actually, they pre-thread a whole bunch of needles and keep them on a holder, so that when it's time to actually use it, it's all good to go. Yeah, I like seeing different ways people organize their stuff. I've seen where people actually braid the threads that are hanging, and they say that they can actually pull a thread right out without unbraiding it, so that's a pretty neat trick. Or I had someone who did that with the, not the threads that were attached to their project, but actually their threads that they had, you know, pulled for the project. They braided them and then said that they were able to pull one strand out, which was kind of neat because they had them on like thread drops, they called them, where they hang down. But yeah, I just keep mine in envelopes. I like that because gives it a place to put the leftover bits easily without them getting lost. I used to wind them back onto the bobbin when I used bobbins, and I realized that was taking a lot of time away from stitching, so yeah, that's why I switched to envelopes. Okay, so I'm gonna head back up a bit, fill in this area here. So yeah, like I said, sometimes it kind of ends up going in a sort of stair-step pattern if the colors go that way. Oh, yeah, I split the fabric. I can usually tell by the amount of resistance when you push your needle through. It feels different when it doesn't go in to the pre-made hole on the fabric. Even when it's filled with other threads, it feels different than when you split the fabric. So I can usually tell when it just feels wrong that I probably did it wrong. Okay. Oops, oh my gosh. And another color, I've got lots of leftover bits. Yeah, this dark purple was used a lot more in this pattern than you would think. It's used in a lot of the darker shaded areas. I'm grabbing the correct thread here. Yeah, there's a lot of grays in this section, so it would be easy to grab the wrong one, and that's where grid lines help me. somebody on the street is looking for an address. Probably have a delivery and they're not quite sure which house it is. This one is kind of on the edge, and you know what? It's not threaded, so I'm not going to bother doing it yet. I'm just going to tuck those aside. If they were still threaded, I might have done them, but they weren't, so. So that often determines whether I go past the diagonal line there or not. Generally too, if it's just the last stitch and I'd end off that thread, even if it wasn't threaded, I do it and then that way. Yeah, there's one fewer that I have to deal with on the next diagonal, so. So yeah, doing this one and this one, and I think we will end off this thread. Maybe. No, I think I will park it. It's long enough to do one more stitch, so maybe even two. So I park it there. Might be enough to do that one and that one when I get to it. So, yeah. Okay, now I remember this one that I added down here is long, so I'm going to do it and carry it over. So this one I'm going to carry over to the right too. That way I can use both threads most efficiently, I think. So that is why, oh, there is, there, snagged there. That is why I parked that up there rather than down here, because of the other thread. And we are at 160 stitches, so I think that is a nice round number to call it a day, at least for this session. So as usual, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you here again another time. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.